Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here. Happy Thursday to all of you. Bachelor in Paradise news. We've been talking a lot about this popularity contest that's happening on Bachelor in Paradise with regards to how Brendan and Piper were treated versus how Chris Conran and Alana were treated. As we know, Chris and Alana right here next to Jasenia. Chris had left Jasenia to kiss Alana, and the beach turned on him. Well, there might be more to the story. Now listen, first things first, no one deserves any hate for what you see happening on the beach there. As far as Chris and Alana go, they're on a beach. They weren't dating beforehand, but of course, this is coming after the Piper Brennan scenario, so there was a lot of angry people thinking that they weren't taking the beach seriously, led by Joe, who has become like sort of mob boss of the beach. We'll get into that. People demanding an apology. Alana saying she's getting death threats. And so I will play, and this is probably the last of this story that we'll cover, but I will play what Joe has to say, what Riley said on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast, and Alana's statements about it all. So we'll get right into that. But first, if you want to join me this Monday night, I have a show at Hollywood Improv in the Lab at 7:30 p.m. There'll be a good handful of you guys that are out of the show, so we'll do a little greet afterwards. Would love to see you come, have a laugh. It's good for your health. You could write this one off on your taxes. Probably not. Not a CPA, not really sure. But anyway, get into that. And also, thank you so much to the people. People keep on buying the disgruntled female merchandise. We got the tank tops, mugs, shirts, the whole 9 yards. And someone said, I need a disgruntled female apron. Yes, some people have actually bought it. So it's all on the site there. You can click on the link below. It's attached to my YouTube. All right, let's get into the story. So first things first, we'll get into this size 2 font here that's going to make me go blind, what Alana posted. So I'm going to read this Reddit comment, and then we will go to what she responded. Chris was not in a relationship, and I know this is hard for you guys to read, so just bear with me. Chris was not in a relationship with Alana prior. This was what was said on a Reddit, and then Alana will respond to this. Chris was not in a relationship with Alana prior to Paradise. He knew both Alana and Jasenia were interested in him, so he did what anyone would do when arriving at the beach, explore his options. Clearly, he was more into Alana, but broke things off with Jasenia very poorly. He was a dick about it, more than likely causing Jasenia to feel led on. This caused Jasenia to get emotional, resulting in her spreading this misconception that those two had a thing before the show. Again, they did not, and she knew that. So anyway, so you have a whole kind of summation there, and then this is what Alana said in response on her Instagram stories yesterday. And again, this is also in response to the fact that Joe, grocery store Joe, is still talking about this and kind of making it look like, hey, we're just trying to clean the beach. Those Saturdays you go there, all right, it's time to clean the beach. Joe's like, we're cleaning it of you. You got to go. I can't believe I'm still having to post about this. I want nothing more than to move on with my life completely and never look back again. But since people in the franchise, the most notable being Joe, continue to perpetuate the blatant lies said about Chris and I, causing us to continue to get ripped apart for things we did not do, I am forced to say something yet again. You silenced me on the show, yet you keep talking. My words seem to have no meaning at this point. The words of people who have confirmed Chris and I were not together pre-show, Katie, Tammy, Marilyn, Stephen, seems to have no meaning. I decided to go to Reddit to see what people are saying, and this post sums it up pretty perfectly. Anything else is a complete and utter lie. When someone puts my character into question, I will not back down, no matter how much more powerful than me they appear to be. Stop spreading lies about a woman you never even introduced yourself to. Yes, we look at Reddit. Pretty powerful words there. Pretty powerful words. Joe continues to perpetuate the blatant lies said about Chris and I. You silenced me on the show, yet you keep talking. Wow, yikes. All right, well, we'll get into what he has to say. Of course, Alana posted this today. Life becomes easier when you accept the apology you never got. So she says, you know what? Moving on, the emoji of the lady painting her nails, that's all it is. All right, so here's what Joe has to say about this. This is obviously before this latest episode, but this is what Joe said about why he reacted the way he did.
Looked like the ideal couple. They were all over each other. They were with each other. They were all, she was happy.
Bragging.
He was happy.
He was bragging that they're the strongest couple on the beach. And I was like,
yeah,
what is this kid talking about? But that was constant with him.
Saying he came to the beach for her specifically. And it was just
what is this kid talking about? So you can already see that there isn't a respect there between Joe and Chris. And this is actually what Nick Viall had mentioned on Nick's podcast saying Chris is basically a nobody. Now, those are tough words to hear, but with regards to the hierarchy in Bachelor Nation on the beach, that's what they all feel. This is a high school and this is a popularity contest. How many followers you have is sort of a way that they rank each other. Whether we like it or not, this is happening. So he says, who is this kid? He shows up. I don't know who he is. It's like, well, Chris is, he's an adult. All right. So anyway, let's keep going.
A match made in heaven. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Whereas it was no surprise to everyone on the beach that Brendan and I were very up and down. We had really great days and then we had not so great days. And it was just a very like up and down thing. And also I think the people who like Riley, who was at the actual party when
we'll share his comments next.
And then they started making out. It's like to go from seeing this person all over one person who's your friend, who you've been with since the beginning, and then see him just making out with someone else. You know, Brendan and Piper went on a date. They went off the beach. They went on a date. Then they came back the next day and they were joined at the hip. And it was kind of like, okay, I think because again, I'm the type of person that kind of like shuts down. I was very like that next day, I was just very much not in the same space as Jasenia. As Jasenia saw it happen in her face, she left the party. She was riled up. She was pissed off. Whereas for me, I was more so hurt because I was sifting through the fact that I was lied to this whole time.
Well, what makes your situation more difficult for you was it was almost hard to believe you because we didn't know what happened behind the scenes with you and Brendan.
Right.
And
I wasn't talking about my relationship with everyone.
Yeah. And it seemed like it did seem like, you could never tell how serious Natasha and Brendan were.
Even though we were always together.
Yeah. As far as we were concerned though, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
So Natasha's kind of pushing back there by saying, yeah, but we were always together. But he's saying, hey, look, we didn't believe it. That's basically what Joe's saying is we didn't believe you that you guys were actually a thing. Which, you know, and that might be because it was a false thing. So while she might have believed it, people go, oh, this isn't going to work out. I don't know. I wasn't there at the beach. I don't know how they feel.
And you know.
Even as like a viewer, like I even...
Tasha's on the show.
Like we were able to see like the little sentiments that he was giving you in your guys' conversation. Everybody else on the beach was not privy to that information. So like you were like, okay, wait, no, he's validating me. And then like, but then next day, okay, maybe you were over here, he was over there. So like,
so not to interrupt this, the clip's almost at the end here, but it's, I think we got the point. So the point is that Joe was able to see firsthand, and they were all able to see firsthand how pissed Jasenia was. So they sort of played off that big brother that Riley was to Jasenia, being like, oh, you did this in front of her face, and that obviously is the main difference. And also, what we learned afterwards is that Chris is like, he probably didn't have too many preconceived notions of what he was going to do. He just found one shiny ball and then another one rolled by and he's like, oh, there's another. And then he just, which is obviously different than premeditated going on a show, wasting Natasha's time, which is exactly what Brendan did. And I think the quicker Brendan owns up to that, like truly says, you know what, call it what you want to call it. I was with Piper beforehand, and I was looking to stall, and now I realize I did that with somebody, and it was a manipulative, and all those things. It needs to be like a full. That's just what it has to be, because that's what it was. All right, so let's play what Riley said about Chris Conran, because according to Riley, he's like, listen. Nobody liked this guy. He was playing everybody. So you guys didn't see the buildup. You just saw the explosion. Let's hear what Riley has to say.
And this just plays into why I think when people watch it back, they thought everyone was so hard on Chris for just one situation. Again, like he had been saying other things. Like, for example, the night before, Chris had told me, Aaron was talking about you, kind of painting you in a bad light, just being like, oh, he's only like interested because you were the Bachelorette and he has the Bachelorette in the bag, blah, blah, blah. So this is what transpired into an argument the night of the VIP party between me and Aaron. Also, Chris was brought in. So Chris was dealing with issues and things that he said in different scenarios, in different settings, totally different situations, but with a lot of people on the beach. So that actually plays into this week when we see Natasha and some other people mentioning like why people don't necessarily like Chris or enjoy his company. It's because he did say certain things to a lot of people that rubbed everyone the wrong way.
And then wouldn't own up to it or acted like he forgot.
Yeah. That's exactly what was going on during the conversation. It was like, what do you mean you just forgot? This just happened like yesterday. What are you talking about? There was this whole thing. What was the phrase? Bag the bachelorette or something? Some phrase like that. That was
the bag. Yeah,
something like that. It was something very strange that was going on. And I was like, okay, you are involved in a lot of conversations in a lot of arguments that don't have anything to do with you. How did you get there? This is something between, Becca and Aaron. How did you get there? Right. And he would just, be in those conversations. And then, I want to get on this soft-spoken thing, okay? Because I don't know if maybe based off what we saw, it seems like, he's a soft-spoken guy. But there were arguments, that he had where he was literally screaming to the top of his lungs. And it was like, oh, well, actually, he's not that soft-spoken. I know he may seem like a charmer, when we're in this argument here. And we kind of got him by the balls a little bit and he didn't know what to do. But trust me, he is just as much of a screamer as anybody else out there. Once he has his mind set on something, he'll go for it. And if he can embarrass somebody, he'll try it. It just didn't work. It just didn't air.
Yeah, there was a lot more that transpired. And again, like I say this week after week, and people don't seem to listen to us, but there is so much that happens in an hour, in a day, in a week, in the entire time of Paradise that people don't see. Like everyone only sees maybe 12% of everything. Like there's so much more.
And people were talking about too when Alana spoke up and was like, does anyone want to hear what I have to say? And they were like, the guys were just so disrespectful. I'm like, it wasn't like that at all. It wasn't an issue with her. It was an issue with Chris. So it's almost like y'all weren't trying to disrespect her. It just wasn't anything against her, I guess. I don't know. It just kind of happened.
No, not at all. No, there was no issue against her at all. Well, we can stay on this, but also I want to go back to the topic that nobody likes Chris because that's actually false too. But it was nothing against Alana at all. It was so much going on with Chris. And again, there were multiple topics that we were talking about. The Chris and Jasenia situation involving Alana, that was just like the final straw. So it was like, okay, well, I mean, if you want to interject, there's no point in interjecting and talking about that one particular issue because there's so much else going on here. At this point, it is time for him to go. And if you two are a thing, which you've talked about, and maybe you two weren't in a relationship, but there was definitely conversation about, people coming on Paradise and giving each other roses to the end. This now, whatever plan, okay, it blew up in your face. So don't try to act like all of a sudden now that, it was just based on us having a previous relationship. That's not the sole issue here. There was obviously some sort of communication prior to, and then you watched it play out when she got there. And then when we called you out for it, you tried to act all innocent. So again, but that's a roundabout answer and long-winded answer just to say, it wasn't just purely, about Alana. No one was trying to shut her down. Chris was just that frustrating in the moment.
Yeah. Right. Well, and we had Alana on the podcast last week and, we got her take on everything. I do think obviously we saw them both leave, not together at that point, but if he even decided to leave and she chose to stay, I think it would have been fine for her. I know she was worried that she wasn't going to be accepted on the beach and wasn't going to have any friends. And I don't think that would have been the case at all. I think people, everything was very heated that night. Obviously, I wasn't there when that argument took place, but I can imagine things were pretty heated. But I think she would have been fine. But overall, after that all transpired that night, watching it back now, do you still feel like it was the best decision for them to leave that beach?
Couple things. For one, I agree with you. I think she would have been just fine had she stayed. I was actually surprised that, those two, were a thing. I was like, there's plenty of men out here that will certainly try to, make a connection with her.
Definitely.
And then before I answer that question, I do want to go back to the, Chris, nobody likes Chris or something like that. Chris was, I didn't know Chris before I got there. So Chris got the same chance as everybody else got that I didn't know. Chris was fine. It was not like I had some vendetta out against him or like, oh, I just don't like him for whatever reason. But as things unfold, it's like, okay, yeah, I am watching how you're moving and I don't like your action. So based on the things that I saw, I can now make this interpretation, and I came to this conclusion, and then boom, now I'm going to tell you how I feel. Mm-hmm. That's what that was. Right.
So. All right, so got a lot of info there. Let's go back to the main page here. Chris and Alana, Riley says it was the final straw. Look, I feel like a judge who's only seeing partial info. I'm like, I don't know. So you're telling me there was other things that were going on? I'm like a dad who's like trying to get to the bottom of it. Like, who drove the truck last night? Why is there a door missing? Like, well, we don't have the full story. We don't know. So if the Chris Alana situation was the final straw, and they had said, and I didn't cover it just now. We played enough that someone accused Chris of like scratching his eye so he could make himself cry, which by the way would be psychotic. I'm sure if he actually did that, they would have shown that in the show. They're not trying to protect Chris here. So I'm sure that was something that somebody had maybe seen, if that's the case. But Becca says Chris was starting other fires, other issues, says people didn't enjoy Chris's company at some point. Yikes. I mean, Becca's got a relatively, she's not there for drama per se. Riley says you're involved in a lot of arguments that don't involve you to Chris in the whole soft-spoken thing, because essentially at the very end of their fight, Chris is like, well, I'd like to apologize. And he's like, speak up, and that was jarring to a lot of people. And then Alana's in the background going like, do you guys want to hear what I have to say? And they're like, no. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're silencing a woman, this and that. And their defense of that, which we didn't get any pushback right here from Becca or Tia, was that it had nothing to do with Alana. There was all these other issues with Chris that either we didn't see or, they just didn't air, that we don't really know. So this is why it's tough to, first of all, pick sides. I've trusted Riley's judgment in other ways, but I also can understand that, yeah, he's going to have his own bias. He says he gave Chris a fair shot because he didn't know Chris, but that's exactly the reason why sometimes you don't give somebody the benefit of the doubt, because he knew Jasenia. So he's like, all right, I know Jasenia. She seems nice. Chris hurt her. We don't like Chris, which of course, dick move by Chris on that part. But also you can have two different people that are generally good people, Riley and Chris, probably both good humans. And you can have these sorts of disagreements where, like, as it plays out, it looks like Riley and Joe are bullying up on Chris, but the facts are we don't have much more information. What I always would just, warn against is to send negativity or death threats to people. And look, don't get me wrong. I check my DMs once in a while. I'll get a death threat here or there. I don't call it the DT because it's not the same as what it used to be, where someone shows up in your mailbox at home, Just because a jabroni can message you on Instagram doesn't mean it needs to be taken seriously. But at the end of the day, Alana's never had any real popularity on this scale before, and this has to be very jarring to have your character misrepresented like that. I totally understand. Alana didn't do anything wrong. Like I said before, she came out of the gates hot. As the producers, they cattle prod you, get out there. They buzz you in the ass, and they're like, get out there and go make out with somebody. And that's exactly what she did. And it's really Chris that kind of started this. I mean, if Chris didn't do it, again, maybe it's all about building equity on the show. So if you have enough goodwill, you can make a mistake and people will give you a benefit of the doubt. If you're a Kenny or somebody, you make a mistake, people, oh, Kenny's a good guy, we trust him. With Chris, it seems like he had no goodwill left. When they say it was the straw that broke the camel's back, there was all these other issues that happened. What are they? We really don't know. They showed us what they showed us. Let me know what you guys think. Stand Up Show this coming Monday, live stream today at 4 p.m. Tons of other content. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye now.